Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, my name is Yvette, and I'm going to start off sharing the report out today. Julian is on his way, but he's been delayed from his previous meeting, so he's still not quite on site yet. But actually, we've got a packed agenda, so it's lovely to see three of our value streams are reporting out. As soon as we go live, Jenny Lewis is going to be watching on the live stream on YouTube. And as I said, Julian will be arriving as soon as he can. So, first off, they are critical care, and it's the 90-day report out from their 6th RPIW, registered to go. And we've got Laura, she's there, and Chelsea, who are reporting out today. So, come on down, Laura and Chelsea.
Hello, my name is Laura Sedgley. I'm one of the Senior Sisters for Neurocritical Care and Process Owner for RPIW6.
Hello, my name is Joanna Drukowski and I'm Ward back on Ward 6.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Young and I am a staff nurse in Ward 6.
And this is our 90-day report out for RPIW6. For those of you who haven't been living, breathing and sleeping in RPIW6 like we have, RPIW6 has been the same as most of the RPIWs critical care have been involved in. It's looked at the step-down process between critical care and the wards, reducing waste and improving efficiency within that process. RPIW6, however, also looked at patient and staff experience of this process as well. When we started to do the RPIW preparation work, the KPO team came and did some observations for us, and it was taking us 2 hours, 2 minutes and 11 seconds to get the patient ready for the ward. Simon Riley Fuller, our sponsor, set us what I thought was an incredibly ambitious, if not slightly unrealistic, target to get a patient wardable in 40 minutes. We also wanted to increase staff process within the step-down process, because when the KPO team had done some interviews with our staff, we only found that 12.5% of staff felt confident within the step-down process of identifying patients and starting the paperwork, and this was something we were very keen to correct. We wanted to improve the efficiency of step-down identification to help patients and staff, reduce the workload of staff and improve the GEMBA, because these are our work colleagues and our friends and we want to make the places easy for them to work, and to continue to improve patient satisfaction, which was an awful lot to achieve in 1 week. Where we are at the moment is we have various set of metrics that we've been measured against. Like I say, the initial measurement was to get our identification of step down from consultants saying this patient's fit to go to the ward to them actually leaving critical care, being able to do critical care, from 2 hours, 2 minutes and 11 seconds to 40 minutes. At 30 days, this was at 27 minutes, and at 60 days and 90 days, this is at 10 minutes, which is a 92% change. And nobody is more surprised about this than I am. Other metrics we've looked at have been the staff confidence within the step-down process. At the start of this process, 87.5% of staff did not feel confident in the step-down process, with an awful lot of work from Chelsea, Joe and their discharge champion teams. I'm pleased to say this has completely changed to the fact that no staff now say they don't feel confident in the process, which is a 100% change. Relative and patient satisfaction remains very high at 100%, and that's something that we're continuing to strive to maintain. Interruptions have reduced from 211% to 0%, and that's largely because we're starting the paperwork and the discharge planning process on the night shift, where there are less interruptions to our staff. And finally, the last metric we looked at was basically on the huddles at 10 o'clock, where we identify potentially patients that we believe might be fit to go to the ward in the morning. We start the paperwork, and at the start of that process, it was taking us 55 minutes to complete paperwork. A phenomenal amount of work has has been done by the Ward 6 and 7 nursing team to actually reduce this to 15 minutes at 30-day report out, 6 minutes at 60-day report out, and 7 minutes at 90-day report out, which is an 88% change. And I think it's worth bearing in mind that some of these patients that we're talking about have come for overnight stay, and the nursing staff having to do admission paperwork for their level 2 care and also start the ward discharge paperwork, which is a phenomenal amount of work. I'm going to hand you over to Chelsea and Jo.
So on the 10 o'clock rules, we now identify AMBER patients in order to start the step-down process and start filling in paperwork with the use of the document checklist. We now use a discharge suitability criteria for guidance, which is above the huddle board. A pre-ward round review at about 8:15 allows the medics to declare AMBER patients as green patients, which allows nurses to finalise ward paperwork.
So we asked staff and patients for their feedback. Feedback has been an important part of this process because it has shaped the way that we have done things and taken into consideration what staff and patients have thought and their feelings. One way of getting patients' feedback is the boards that are in the relatives room, which patient experience have developed. There is paper in there for staff, relatives or patients to put their thoughts onto the board, and we review that. Which you will see in the upcoming slides. Staff feedback from other members of other units have actually been really good as well. So they have found that the checklist that we did do for what paperwork was needed made their shift a lot easier, especially coming into a new environment if they've never worked there before. So do have 2 short videos, which I do hope works. So that was feedback from staff. We thought we would use the wardable paper work, as you can see, what we use quite commonly when we're stepping a patient down. So this is the board that is left in our relatives room for relatives and staff to leave their feedback. The overall consensus of that feedback is a bit small. Was that everything was done so quickly and efficiently, and everybody was kept up to date as the process was going on.
So the nursing team have expressed interest in the project, and we're very happy to share the point of view throughout the process. We respected feedback from our staff and took on board their thoughts to help to promote and embed change to continue and develop previous RPIW work. And throughout the project, we had a variety of multidisciplinary team from across the CSU and neurosciences, giving the project a big opportunity to be successful and create culture change through knowledge and experience.
So we thought about what went well and what would even better if. So the 3 things that we decided we'd come up with was if the pre-ward round review did happen every day, the step-down process will be discussed in the discharge competencies in the Step 1 booklets that we do receive, and that is adopted across the CSU. And if paperwork was rationalised, as Laura said, if we do get an overnight stay, we are admitting the patient onto our level 2 care plans, but then also doing the ward paperwork as well, which is actually quite time-consuming in the 24 hours that a patient will stay with us. So going forward, there's a quick guide to HDU which is currently being written at the moment with top tips such as what to expect on HDU and what to do with your potential step downs. These will be given out to new starters in their welcome packs, but also are readily available to staff if should they require to read it further, and to continue with the discharge champions, hopefully empowering more to become champions, and to continue with the CSU way of working.
So honestly, well done, Laura and Chelsea and Joanna. That was fantastic. It's been really lovely to hear your report outs and see how much progress you've made, how you've sustained that progress. And I know that Jane has been looking at how you can scale up and spread all of that work across the whole CSU. So I'm sure there might be a few questions for you later, so well done, thank you. And I bet there was music to those films, wasn't there?
I'm so proud that you can create.
Are you going to sing to us? Oh, well done. So now it's acute general surgery, and we've got Nasira and Chris, who are coming to give an update on the RPIW3, which is about surgical outflow. So when patients are moving from SAU to J47 or 46, but the acute surgical ward. And it's your 60-day report out. Yeah. 30.
Hello, my name is Nasira Antal and I am one of the process owners at RPIW3.
Hello, my name is Michael Adams and I'm a team member on this RPIW week.
Hello, my name is Jingle Ortiz, Senior Assistant from J46 and a team member for this RPIW week.
So what we'd like to do today is just to discuss with you our RPIW, which is part of our acute surgical value stream, and in particular looking at reference to surgical outflow. We'll then go on and move on to our target progress reports, a couple of newspaper items, and changes we've made and barriers we've encountered. So during our initial week, we identified that patients who had a decision of being admitted from SAU to the ward were having to wait a significant amount of time, and that time was becoming increasingly lengthened, so we decided then for that to become the main focus for our week. We also identified as well that patient communication during their time on SAU was quite variable. As a result, the patients, there was a lack of understanding as to where they were in their journey and their steps throughout SAU. So we felt that those were key issues within our metrics. So just to talk you through a bit of our target progress report. The first metric that you can see here is the lead time, and that's the time taken when a patient decision is made by a senior clinician to be admitted, and the time then taken for the patient to be moved off the unit. Now, the baseline target for us was 5 hours, 15 minutes and 16 seconds, and on our testing week, the tact time we were given was 1 hour 42 minutes. Again, we thought that was quite an ambitious target, but during our testing week, we did manage to get quite close, so we felt that was certainly achievable. On our 30-day remeasure, however, we have had an increase in the time, and that's something that I will go on to discuss later. The other quality defects that we had noted was the patient communication and discussion with the patients and with the staff. There was a general feeling that the communication wasn't quite what it could be. Now, during the RPIW1, the patient pathway leaflet had been created, and we thought that had been embedded so patients were aware of their journey throughout their stay on SAU. So as a team, we decided that that would become as well part of our RPIW to focus on this and reinforce this through every step of the patient journey so they had full knowledge, and that was met with success. So that did very well. These are our newspaper items that we'd just like to go through with you now in a bit more detail.
So we worked on increasing patient communication as patients were unaware of what was happening and what their next steps were. Intentional rounding is now performed on a 2-hourly basis, with the rounding including updates on patients' status and asking patients if there's anything else that they need. The intentional rounding form is placed in the coordinator folder, which is accessible by the nurse in charge. This all helps with patients knowing where they are in their journey. However, a downside of intentional rounding is the fact that it has to be done in the first place. If patients were being moved quicker, there would be no need for intentional rounding, as patients would be more aware of their position. In addition to intentional rounding, in order to improve communication and awareness amongst staff and to reduce interruptions to the nurse in charge, we reinforce the idea of a huddle 3 times daily. These huddles include all staff involved in the patient flow process, from the ward environment porter to the doctors. The huddles include raising concerns that anyone might have about patients on the unit and an update on all patients on the unit currently. It also gives staff the chance to discuss jobs that are outstanding, which will speed up a patient's journey through SAU. These huddles have been proven to be a success, and the whiteboard is used as a prompt to show when huddles need to be done and when they've been completed. So this is something that we've incorporated onto the whiteboard. It reduces interruptions to the nurse in charge, as when beds have been allocated but they're not yet ready, they're written in red, and when they are ready, they're written in green. And then I then know to take a patient to the ward as that bed's ready. I've also been given a bleep so that the Band 3 patient flow coordinator can bleep me, and also the wards that have their beds ready can also bleep me.
It was identified that there is a delay in getting patients transferred down to the acute wards due to the handover. Staff find it actually time-consuming. Staff nurses not available to receive a handover from SAU and no standard of the information shared. So therefore, a standard operating procedure was put in place between SAU and the acute ward. In addition, there is a standard operating procedure as well for the role of the Band 3 patient flow coordinator, who is now able to coordinate the flow between SAU and the acute wards. Handover from the has been actually standardized for both the SAU and between the acute ward as well. SAU completes the written handover, and Band 3 patients flow coordinator is then able to transfer the patient. Clinical support workers in both the acute wards can now take a handover from SAU. So patient now can be transferred to the ward without verbal handover to minimize the phone calls and interruption between SAU and the acute wards. But for those patients actually using 6 and above, are then able, have to have a verbal handover is required in addition to the written handover. With discharges, we've realized that obviously we have to improve actually our discharges from the acute ward to be able to help to pull this patient from SAU. During the morning board rounds, all the patients who are deemed safe and suitable for discharges were identified, and all that are suitable as well to be transferred to the discharge lounge. Band 3 patients flow. So in addition, there is a standard operating procedure that has been created for the role of the Band 3 patient flow coordinator, who is now able to coordinate the flow between SAU and acute ward. They play a beneficial role and well received by both acute wards. SAU ward environment porter, who just been mentioned earlier on, that he's carrying out a bleep. So it's easy now to be contacted, and who will then be transferred when this patient will be transferred to the ward when the bed is being available. J46 and 47 are pilot wards for the discharge collaborative. People in board meeting was set up weekly as well, every Friday, which was being chaired by the matron. In here we discuss the discharge lounge utilization and the discharges before midday. In the last 3 months, we have seen really great improvement in our discharges from the acute ward, discharges before 4 p.m.
So from some of those, hopefully those each, you can see that we have made improvements, but clearly the resounding issue is the lead time that we saw, and looking back and trying to identify the cause of those and trying to see where the changes are that we can test and make. And what we have identified is that there has been certainly an increase in the number of acute surgical admissions that are coming in through the unit. It's quite an accelerated growth that is coming with just more demand really. There's also, we found an increase in number of outliers within our acute surgical bed base, and as a result that's blocking our beds for patients to move to. Delays in discharge with maybe untimely EDANs, which is something else that we need to be working. So this is all very much a work in progress. What I can say is that we have picked up that we do have the resources available to us. It's just a matter of reallocating perhaps and taking that band 3 patient flow coordinator, moving them into a more dynamic sort of link between SAU and the wards has been helpful, and having the ward environment porter on point really to be available to make those changes, as we're hoping that retesting of those models will make some improvement. This is going to need further robust monitoring really over the next 30 days, so we would hope that a 60-day report we would have some changes to see. I've just entered into a clinical leadership fellowship post out of colorectal surgery, so my focus will be SAU and its flow with the admissions. So I'm hoping that I will be able to give this more of the focus and attention that it needs. The team had done a lot of retesting during this time, although this isn't reflected in our 30-day measures. You can see that for every week that we were testing, there are some quite remarkable times there from patients being seen for admission and being discharged to wards. So it is possible. It is just something else that we need to be really focusing to work on. And during all this time, it's so important for staff morale to be kept high, and certainly with the team around us, there's lots of changes that feel that they are being made and implemented, and in general it's been very well received by the staff and very positive, and certainly a degree of empowerment. So we're certainly trying to sort of reach that, go for that lead-centred approach, and at the centre of all of that is always going to be the patient. And having started this RPIW with patients not really feeling like the journey was their own and having maybe a lack of awareness, we feel that maybe just reinforcing that has been a real positive, and all of the information that they give back to us and feedback to us has been good for us to hear, and hopefully that improvement in our journey will strengthen our unit. Thank you.
Sarah and Chris and Dougal, thank you very much indeed. I am the exec lead for this value stream, and I did a game around this week, and it was really good. The board is really well embedded, isn't it? And the 5S that you did around one of the other RPIWs. So I think there is a lot of progress, but as Sarah has said, it's quite a challenging environment with the increasing number of patients who are heading to SAU. But it's really good to see the improvements that have been made and the team's response to the challenges that remain. So well done. We're on to our third value stream report out, and we've got ophthalmology, and I guess at 240 days the ophthalmology team must be feeling, will we ever manage to close this one down? But it is fantastic that you have kept going. So Caroline, please come and report out. And I know that some of your team have now gone on maternity leave, haven't they? Yeah. So baby being
Hello everyone, my name's Caroline. I'm the outpatient site manager for St James's, and I'm one of the process owners for the RPIW4, along with Mr McKessie. So in terms of this RPIW, it's actually been a relaunch. So the original RPIW was started last August, and some really measures were taken at 30 days, which took to September time last year. So no measures were taken after that point for quite a few months until I relaunched the RPIW a couple of weeks ago. So we have got some really recent measures and some up-to-date data, which is fantastic to see, and some great results. Um, So in terms of, just to give you a bit of background, the aim of the RPIW was looking around the outcome form, and there was lots of opportunities for us in our patients to look at getting the outcome forms back to clinic quicker, but also ensuring that more of them were coming back to a reception desk to be completed by the admin team, and for the outcomes to be updated on PAS. We were noticing that some of the forms weren't complete, and that made it very difficult then to look at how we can put an outcome on PAS for that patient. And we noticed that some forms weren't being returned at all, which caused delays in terms of the information that was being updated on the system for that patient pathway. So that's a bit of an overview. And we also noticed there was a lot of variation in terms of the time it was taken for the admin staff to complete the cash-up, and the time that it took for the forms to come back to the reception desk as well. So with ophthalmology, it's such a busy area in terms of outpatient attendances and clinics. So this was an ideal clinic and location to use this RPIW work. So in terms of the target progress reports, we've seen some really significant progress since the relaunch, since the measures that were taken last year, and that's in the lead time. So there's been a 98% change in the lead time, and that was looking at the time it takes the admin staff to complete the cash-up on PAS. So that's been great, and we're currently on 84 seconds to complete that cash-up per patient. That's well within our target of 180 seconds. The other three measures that we were looking at in terms of quality was number of forms being returned to the number of outcome forms not returned to the desk, and that was 0. So that was fantastic to see that all the forms came back, and that recent data was taken across 2 clinics as well. So we were able to see across 2 days and 2 of Mr. McKetty's clinic that that was consistent, that all the forms came back. The other measures we were looking at was the outcome forms not being fully completed. Again, there's been some improvement there as well, and a change of 42%. And the number of outcome forms cashed up on the day of clinic as well. There was only 14 out of 62 that weren't cashed up on the day, and that's been a change of 64% as well. So I think across the board, we've seen some really significant changes in progress, and that's been reflected in the feedback from the admin staff as well, and the clinicians. So in terms of the remaining work that we have to do, as part of the relaunch, it was really important to re-engage with the admin teams and the clinicians, and get some engagement and enthusiasm behind the work again. And that was fantastic to see, and we really started from where we left off really, and continued that work. So the main piece of work that we've done around this RPIW is we've redesigned the outcome form to make it condensed, and not as long and kind of a bit complex as it was before. It makes the forms easier to fill in for the clinicians, it takes less time, and it's clearer for the admin staff to use that information there to cash up. And we now print those outcome forms on yellow paper, so they're less likely to get missed, they're less likely to go into notes, and we can track where they are a lot quicker as well. So that's been some really significant work there. So in terms of what we have left to do, we have some more engagement to do with ophthalmology CSU and the clinicians around the following tasks. The top one is really significant for us in terms of doing a rescue huddle twice a day. So we currently do 1 huddle at the moment, and when we're fully staffed, because we have got a vacancy at the moment, a supervisor vacancy, we'll be able to then take on that twice a day huddle. And the other piece of information in terms of audit work and kind of understanding on capacity from the CSU, that's something which I'm going to continue to work with the ophthalmology CSU on, and hopefully have that done in the next couple of weeks. So barriers and key learning. So a lot of the original staff that were involved in the RPRW have left, so they've gone on to other posts in the trust or they're on maternity leave. So for me it was picking all that work up and regrouping with the new team and understanding what we'd achieved so far and then where we wanted to go with that work. And then in terms of metrics, some of the data collection information was unclear on how to do that. So I met with the KPO team who've been really helpful and have clarified how to do that and how to take those measures. So the key learning from the IPRW is that when I reviewed the outcome form as part of the re-measures, I noticed that the outcome form that was originally approved as part of that work didn't include codes for open and closed pathways as part of the RTD. So that's now been included now, and we have redone the form so that it includes both. And some new forms have been created which are now in circulation. And some also key learning is key stakeholders to be identified and involved from the beginning. So there's a couple of stakeholders who, as I was working through the RPRW, I felt could have been involved at the beginning, and we could have kind of gone on that journey together from the beginning. So overall, it's been a fantastic experience. We've had some great outcomes, and we've got a few more things to do, but we're going to continue the momentum and the work behind that. So, thank you.
Thanks, Caroline. I'm sure that you've clearly refreshed it all and got it all going, and it's wonderful to see now that it seems quite sustained in those clinics. And I'm sure that some of the front row will be desperate to ask you questions about scaling up and spreading that RTD form to all outpatient areas. But anyway, we'll save that one for later. Thank you. So now we've got the deteriorating patients team, who are coming to report out about some of the improvements that we've been making, working on a collaborative now for several years, but the reason we haven't stopped is that there's still room for improvement.
So hello, my name is Ali.
Hello, my name's Louise.
Hello, I'm Julie Lofthouse.
Hello, my name's Anna.
Hello, my name's Greg Patterson.
And we're representing the Deteriorating Patient Quality Improvement Collaborative that has been going since 2014, so we're in year 5. But we are representing the faculty today, but in recognition of many people, colleagues in the trust who have contributed to this over the years and continue to do so, including Liz, who's in the room here. And we started in 2014 using a methodology called a Breakthrough Series Collective, where we bring pilot wards together from different areas to test interventions that may lead to improvement around reducing avoidable deterioration. And those wards learned a lot of things that didn't work, but they ended up with 5 things when used together made a big difference on those wards. Between 2016 and 18, we scaled that up in a supportive way, CSU by CSU, to reach the whole trust. And the 5 interventions have been modified slightly over time. We love a good safety huddle, as we've heard in those presentations already, around who we worried about deteriorating today. Making advanced care planning decisions, so not just to DNA CPR, but what are the ceilings of care. It used to be green sticker, but now it's been incorporated into the respect forms. Timely observations and escalation. So again, that's been upgraded to the ops and now the news too. Knowing the data, which Craig will take us through, for teams to be able to celebrate their achievements and reflect and the learning when they do have a deteriorating patient. And then a debrief around every cardiac arrest on that ward so the team get learning and share their experience. And as an organisation, we pick up key themes as well.
So, as Ali said, it's taken 4 years, but we've now scaled up our interventions across the whole trust, CSU by CSU, and we're now, the quality improvement work is now in what we call sustainability phase. So although we're actively meeting and continuing to improve, we've
made sure that actually it's manageable for all of our workloads. So the way we're doing that is we're having twice monthly faculty meetings. In the first of those meetings, we use the data that Craig provides us to provide us information for the whole organisation, where the statistically significant improvements continuing and where do we need to give certificates, and where are the areas that perhaps are having more arrests than perhaps they've done in the past. Is there anything that we need to do as a faculty to try and look at that data to try and understand what's going on? And in the second meeting of the month, all of us split up into teams and we go and visit the wards that we're worried about, have a chat with the staff, talk about the interventions, and we also give out certificates as well. So our focus is very much using the data to allow us to prioritise our ward visits, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we're still focusing on new interventions in other areas such as radiology and reception areas. So this is a Pareto chart. For those of you who may not have seen something like this before, the bars indicate each CSU. So you can see across our organisation, in 2017, the most common areas where people were likely to have called 2222 were ESM, AMS, and cardiorespiratory, followed by TRS, and then other areas is the area circled. So that's why at that time we did start thinking what interventions, because actually all of our interventions, as Ali described, are very much ward-based interventions. Other areas include reception areas, the corridors, Costa Coffee, and radiology department. So actually a safety huddle isn't going to impact those areas. So we've thought about trialling some new things to think about what we can do for those areas. Now, this is the most recent Pareto chart, and at the moment, in 2019, the most common areas for 2222 calls are ESM, followed by cardiorespiratory, AMS, and then other areas. TRS, who we'll talk about in a minute, have actually reduced their 2222 calls lower than other areas, which is a massive achievement. But actually focusing on these other areas becomes all the more important, because not all of these are actually cardiac arrest. Quite a lot of them are medical assistance calls, and actually that's gathering a huge team of really senior people to a place where they may have been in the middle of doing something. It's a huge distraction.
So when we reviewed our data, we found that a large portion of calls that made up the other areas actually came from reception areas. So we visited them and we provided them with education, we provided them with posters, with the numbers of outreach on what to do if a patient did or whoever deteriorated in those areas, and with grab bags as well. And as you can see, reception areas have actually decreased their numbers of 2222 calls.
So I mentioned working in radiology. We've started a mini QI project within the radiology department. In the past, people, I mean, even still now, because we're still working on it, people didn't quite know that you could call outreach if somebody became unwell in the first instance. So if they hadn't actually arrested but were poorly, they may have just called 2222. So we're using posters and things to raise awareness of that, but that's never going to make a significant change. What we're doing going forward is using simulation and increased training to make the teams more confident in what to do if a patient deteriorates, including providing some of the radiographers training on how to take a new score.
Yes, so data from a kind of selfish point of view as an information manager, I think the data is key to this. Without the data, you've just got an idea, you don't know what's happening. And again, from a personal point of view, it allows me to link the numbers that I produce into patients and what's happening. So that's been brilliant, it's been part of this collaborative. So we present these dashboards at our monthly meetings now, so we can discuss them. This is a just wide one. You may or may not be able to see where we've seen improvements, but certainly in alcohols there's been a 16% reduction and cardiac arrest a 30% reduction across the trust. It is. We then break that down and discuss it further. these are all split down into CSU levels. We do go down into ward levels, but we've not got that there. And you won't be able to see on this, I don't think, but some of the CSUs where we've had particularly good improvements are cardiorespiratory, ESM, AMS, and also TRS.
And that's statistically significant.
That's statistically significant. So TRS have seen a reduction of 50% in their double two calls, and medical assistants have been the greatest impact for that CSU.
So we'd like to welcome Ian up to the stage to receive a certificate from the faculty on behalf of the TRS and CSU.
So each CSU, they've got access to their own data. It's displayed on all the wards. Each ward has their data, which is displayed as well, which just helps as well the ward staff to be able to visualise the improvements that they're making and keep them encouraged and energised. One of the most popular things that we have is the heat maps. Shows when the time of day is when the most double two calls are, and as you might be able to make out from there, the darkest red spots are across the top where the hours are is 12 o'clock, which was about an hour ago now. Chances are there'll be double two calls gone out. And the quietest days are across the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Very few, well, not as many calls put out. But further, if we were to really dive into it, this is available for each ward. They can see their most popular times if there's something that's happening. We can see the most, I won't use the word popular, but the most frequent time for double two calls is on a Wednesday at around 12 p.m. I think that is the most popular for cardiac arrests. You might just be able to make out the dark red bits. So, what impact has this all had trust-wide? You can see from the SPC chart here that, as discussed, we've seen a 16% reduction in double two calls. May this year, which is circled, that was our lowest number of calls we've ever had since we started recording, which was really, really good. We started recording in January 2014, so we're sustaining the work that we're doing. Trust-wide, we've seen a major reduction in cardiac arrests with a 30% step change. That reduction, again, we're maintaining it. We've been close to another reduction, but not quite got there yet. I'm sure as we go on, we will. I mentioned we've improved, we've maintained those improvements, and we continue to do so. Over time, what have we seen? LGI, down there, I've seen a 34% improvement in their double two calls, which is massive really for them. It's really impacted. And we can see from the bottom chart, that's just a year-on-year cumulative position. Last year at the LGI, that was their best year for the lowest number of double two calls. The black line, which is just tracking along, looks as though we're well on target to improve on that this year.
So what does the future hold now? So just to recap, we need to have continued sustainability with the programme. So we've heard that we've scaled up now to all the ward areas, and we need to continue to support them and maintain those improvements. We've heard that data is important to us, it drives our focus. We do have regular reviews of data, and we're recognising successes, but we're also intervening where those areas need support and help, and we visit them and support them. There's been a lot of new interventions within the trust, such as EOBs and Respect, and they require our support as well. So we recognise these may have an impact on our collaborative, and we've had to adapt and change and embrace these changes. There are new areas of focus, for example radiology, who are wanting help to recognise deteriorating patients. And we want to go further, so we want to continue to push and get even more successes and maintain the challenges that we face. And then we thought about